lots to cover here. What I'm going to start out with is using actually some customer churn data. And I'm going to use some of Qlik's augmented capabilities to take a look at that customer churn, see what's happened in the past. Then I'm also going to use some of our AutoML capabilities to see what a business could do to mitigate some customer churn in the future. And then at the end, I'll show what we've done with generative AI that I think is both useful and productive and also secure, which is an important part of it. So I'm going to start out here in simplified authoring. This is some new capabilities we've added in, again, to make it very easy for all types of users at any skill level to begin building out dashboards, visualizations, worksheets, etc. So I can start dragging and dropping some tables onto my sheet, and you can see that it automatically updates based on the data that I'm adding to the most applicable visualization. And so I can add churn over here as well. And not only do I want to start creating visualizations, but I want to do some exploration and analysis as I go. So I can simply filter on yes, and now I'm looking at a visualization that shows churned customers by plan name and base fee as well. I can switch over to Insight Advisor, which is Qlik's actually AI-powered assistant that helps users along that creation, authoring, and analysis journey. And I have a few different options. I can use Insight Advisor to help me explore my data, and it'll just auto-generate some insights for me based on the data. I can use natural language to ask a question, just simply ask what I'm interested in seeing or analyzing. I can also use something called analysis types, and this is a really interesting feature that's unique to Qlik. It enables users to create some more sophisticated analyses and visualizations by guiding them along. So for example, I'm interested in creating a K-means cluster so that I can see some more clustering and cohorts of customers based on churn. I'm just a product marketer, so I cannot create one of those from scratch, but analysis types can help me along the way. So I want to select my measures, base fee. I also want to include service rating in that, and then I want to look at this by account name. So in just a few clicks, it creates a really sophisticated analysis for me. And I can go ahead and add that to my sheet. So now I have a couple of visualizations that are linked. They're very interactive. If I wanted to click around, they would all update automatically as a result of that associative engine. I actually want to start doing a little bit more advanced authoring now. So I use simplified authoring to get the basics going. Now I'm going to use some more advanced capabilities. So I can turn that on. I can go to my master items. And I can drag and drop my natural language object. This is something that's a little bit new to Qlik, and again, it uses natural language to summarize a lot of the key points in my data. I can go to the next sheet, and we know that a lot of times some more advanced authors, they want some more customization capabilities, especially when it comes to design, layout, etc. So you can see here I've got my pixel perfect background. I can also do some more things with my styling options, so I can add a more specific branded background. Start that over. Well, what I can do is actually add more customization to create a really powerful, very aesthetic report. And I can export that into PDF. I can export that into PowerPoint. You can see here I've got a number of really interesting, very colorful visualizations. And through reporting, I can subscribe to that myself, have it delivered in my email whenever I want. I can also ensure that all of my business stakeholders are receiving that on a timely basis as well. Again, in any format, any design that I would like. So that was a look at how you can use Qlik, again, to kind of look back and see, I'm interested in learning more about why my customers churned, who churned, what plan they were on, etc. Now I want to start getting into the why they churned and who's likely to churn. So to start, I want to do a key driver analysis, and that'll help me understand some of the influences that are causing customers to churn. So I want to start by exploring the service rating, so I can run that key driver analysis on my historical data, open that up, and I get that analysis here. So I can see the top 4 factors that are really causing about 76% of that customer churn. If I want to look in a little bit more detail, I can drill down a little bit because, of course, Qlik always wants you to be able to explore in any direction you want. I can see that key driver analysis by location. So these are the locations that are most and least successful in terms of that customer churn. I can also look at the distribution of this data to see if there's any outliers. So for example, I might want to take a closer look at my service team in Nebraska, because it seems like there's a little bit of a performance issue there. So key drivers, that's coming actually very soon. That's a sneak peek at a capability we're really excited about releasing soon. That, again, gives you a little bit more information about what's been happening, what are some of the causes behind that historical data. Now what I want to go ahead and do is do some more predictive analytics, and I want to do that by running an AutoML experiment. So we'll call that churn analysis, and first I need to pick some training data, and training data is really just another term for picking the historical data that I want to create that model off of. So we'll use my churn data. Our target is churn because, again, that's what we want to create the AutoML model off of. And it goes ahead and it does, collects a bunch of information for me. So first thing it does is it picks the best algorithm to use, the best ML algorithm to use based on the characteristics of my data. I can see it's the XGBoost classification. It has a really high F1 score, which means it has a lot of confidence in that algorithm. I get some different metrics down here as well. The permutation importance tells me how much of the different features of my data that model relies on. Also the SHAP importance, how much different attributes of that data are influential in the predictions. And confusion matrix as well. It tells a little bit more about the accuracy of that data. So again, for someone like a business analyst who's interested in coming in and creating some machine learning models, very easy and gives me a lot of information that I can easily understand. So I'm going to go ahead and deploy that model. And using real-time APIs and the integration, I get this output here, which is, it gives me the analysis of my customers, tells me who's least likely to churn, who's most likely to churn over on the right, gives me that feature importance and influence, so I can understand based on the different factors of my data, how much influence are they having in the churn. And of course, again, I want to do some more exploration, and I want to hone in on a particular customer. So I can see this one here, for example, it's telling me that this customer has about a 59% chance of churning, of leaving my business. So that's not great. So the first, a pretty obvious place to start would probably be to lower their base fee, right? Because everyone likes things a little bit less expensive. So I can go ahead and reduce that, but what it tells me actually when I do that is their likelihood to churn actually goes up. So that's a little bit of a head scratcher. But fortunately, I can go into my prescriptive dashboard, again, all created using Qlik Sense and AutoML. And this is where I can start to do much more decision planning, what-if scenarios. I can start to move around different factors to understand how different elements of my business are going to be affected. So this is reset based on that customer. You can see up here it's got that, about 59% likelihood to churn. And what some of these visualizations are telling me is, for example, the plan type that the customer is on has a huge influence in whether they stay or whether they churn. Particularly, if they stay on the green plan, they're much more likely to stay with my business. Similarly, I saw that when I moved the price lower, the customer's likelihood to leave actually went up. That was the question. But what the model's telling me is that actually a slight increase in price is more likely to keep that customer. So that could be for a lot of reasons, but I think we can all kind of relate to situations where sometimes the price of something is too low, that you can actually be a little skeptical, and actually the higher price can actually increase that loyalty, increase that repeat business. So again, what I can do as part of that decision planning, what-if scenario activity is I can lower that customer's, I can change the customer to the green plan, and I can lower that base fee price as well. And now I see that their likelihood to churn is very low, and this visualization over here with the optimization is actually telling me that if I did want to move them to the purple plan, for example, around the same price, that would be okay, just as long as I don't go too low or too high on price, or over here to the red plan, I'm keeping them in a pretty good spot. So that's a walkthrough of how AutoML, again, really built especially for those business analyst teams or data scientist teams that are looking to solve some of those key business use cases, can better understand some of this, what's influencing their business, how they can make different adjustments based on the factors that are causing something like, in this case, customer churn. So the last part, I said I would talk a little, or show a little bit about what we're doing with generative AI. So what we've actually done, Qlik's always had a very open, extensible platform. So we've created the ability to connect in real time using both our analytics connectors that leverage our analytics engine and our application automation integrations to be able to integrate directly with the OpenAI platform. So I'm going to walk you through a few different use cases that we've come up with for generative AI. The first is be able to actually go out and bring in some additional data. So I'll do that now. So say I'm going to go out and get top 10 agricultural data sets by year, month, damage, and disaster type. So we might have some agricultural customers here. I think there's a lot of businesses that can be affected by things like weather. So we'll do some analysis and see what we can find. So Qlik's gone out and grabbed that data from OpenAI and pulled it back in. I can see all the characteristics here. And it's put that in a nice QVB format, and I can see all sorts of attributes, a description, summary profile of that data. So I'm going to go ahead and create an app out of it. And that's where I can start to do some additional exploration and analysis. Now, additionally, another thing that I can use the integration for is to help me with creating expressions. So I can, let's see, I want to do number of disasters. I can type that in. And it actually goes ahead and creates the expression for me, which if you haven't done a lot of development in Qlik, can be a little tricky, but this is a great way to accelerate and ease that for a lot of users, including developers as well. And it just doesn't do simple expressions either. Many of you might be familiar with Qlik's set analysis capabilities. So I can add an expression that's a bit more complex, relying on a few different dimensions and measures, and it goes ahead and creates that more complex expression for me. So again, another example of how we're looking to use generative AI to help users be a little bit more faster and efficient in what they're doing. So I'll close out of that, apply that, and I can go ahead, let's see, we'll add in country here too. So I've started creating my visualization. I want to go back to Insight Advisor. And then the last thing I just want to show from a generative AI perspective is how it can also help augment a lot of the visualizations and the explanation around the data as well. So I'll select damage analysis here so I can get a better understanding of how different events are affecting agriculture. And you can see here, it gives me the visualization, but it also gives me a bunch of links in natural language over here. And so if I click on that, what Qlik is able to do is go out and again, grab that information, summarize it, and put it right in my sheet in my dashboard. So I can get supplemental information about the insights I'm really looking for. So I haven't shared any of my data out to OpenAI or ChatGPT, but I've used it to bring in some additional information to complement, supplement the experience that I'm doing, and I've used it, like in the example with the expression editor, to just accelerate what I'm working on. So those are a few different ways, a few different use cases that we've done with generative AI, and we've certainly been putting out a lot more information too as we've rolled out those connectors. But overall, that was a summary of all the capabilities we've added in for all types of users to be able to go in, author, create, consume analytics very easily, very efficiently. Really powerful capabilities you can do with AutoML to not only look at your historical data, but to be able to look at prescriptive analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, and really start to take some action on what's going to happen in your business in the future and start to optimize performance and mitigate risk. And then, of course, some of the really exciting things, again, with our really open, extensible platform, we're always able to come up with a lot of exciting ways to integrate and work with a lot of the new technology that's available. So in this case, generative AI. So Josh, I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Denise. That was awesome.